are live, folks, and welcome back to the channel. Let's talk about my personal team that I feel that could surprise some people going into next year, and that is the Philadelphia Eagles. And if you're an Eagles fan right now, I need you to take a deep breath. I'm not going to overhype your team. There's still a lot of concerns when it comes to this team, and they haven't done a lot in the free agency pool. Now, I don't know if they didn't have the cap or things like that, but they were really in the running for a lot of teams. I do feel that they could have made a big splash with Chandler Jones. I feel like that would have been a big pickup for them, as edge rusher is actually one of their biggest needs on that team. But I do have some hope for them, and the Philadelphia Eagles are in prime position to win the NFC East, in my opinion. We look at the Cowboys. Cowboys' talent pool has decreased immensely. Losing Amari Cooper is a huge loss. Now, CeeDee Lamb can easily be an X receiver. They don't have as many weapons as they previously did. And the Commanders, yes, they have Carson Wentz, but I mean, we all saw the Colts had such a fantastic roster built around Carson Wentz, a MVP candidate at running back, and they could not get into the playoffs, with the AFC South being one of the worst divisions in all of football. Now, yes, they did have the number one seed. I'm not saying they have to go win the division, but at least make it into the playoffs. They lose to the Jaguars. It's a whole ordeal. I've roasted them plenty of times beforehand, but we have to talk about the Eagles. I'm not even going to mention the Giants. I just want to get that out of the way. I'm not even going to talk about the Giants because y'all stick with Daniel Jones as your quarterback. Get y'all some Chuck E. Cheese applications, some Guru Griff's types things. Like, I cannot believe what the Giants have done this year. Although I do like Brian Dable a little bit, but they have not changed that quarterback position enough to make me feel like they can win the division. Maybe if they get a crazy run and the NFC is as bad as we think it is, they could squeak into a wild card in a wild scenario, but I don't think they win the division because I have the Philadelphia Eagles winning the division depending on how well they draft in this next upcoming draft. They have 3 first-round picks. I don't see a lot of people talking about this. Now, that is for fair reason with all the trades going on. I wouldn't want to be talking about the draft right now until it's actually here. We have so many things to look at, and also it's tough to talk about the draft when there's not a lot of quarterbacks that are top tier. Now, Malik Willis to Seattle, I'm down for it. But I don't want to talk about Kenny Pickett's small hands for the next couple months when we got guys like Russell Wilson moving around and potentially Tom Brady going to the Miami Dolphins. Like, we all want to talk about those guys way more than Malik Willis and Kenny Pickett because there isn't these top guys. Now, I did just look at a mock draft that had Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis going number 2 and 3. That's not going to happen, folks. They have too many talented edge rushers and a safety out of Notre Dame who is the best prospect in this entire draft. I watched his film. It's ridiculous. He flies through across the field like insane amount of awareness and tackling, and he's the perfect safety coming out of this draft. He's like the Andrew Luck of safeties. You can't go wrong with going with Kyle Hamilton. But we have to talk about the draft picks that the Eagles have. And in previous years, we have seen rookies absolutely change a franchise in one season. I mean, Micah Parsons made that Dallas's defense so intimidating to go up against. Now, Randy Gregory did help, not to mention Trayvon Diggs has stepped up as a corner. Whether you hate him or you love him, he did cause turnovers, and that is another possession for that offense to run. And I know I'm talking about just anomalies. I mean, these are Rookie of the Year candidates. These are guys that are projected to potentially be Hall of Fame guys. But when you can get them at the 10 to 15 range, let alone the maybe 10-20 range. I mean, Micah Parsons wasn't a top 5 pick. Jamar Chase was a top 5 pick, but he was right at number 5. And there were still a lot of quality guys in that 10 to 20 range, even 10 to 25 range if you want to, that could change a franchise's defense immensely with their freakish athleticism, as we are watching some of the most insane combine statistics over the past couple 5 years. And when you have 3 first-round picks, I think the last team that had 3 first-round picks was Miami. They weren't able to capitalize as much as they could. And the Philadelphia Eagles, now, I can retract my statement on the Philadelphia Eagles winning the NFC East this summer if they do not hit on these draft picks. But I'm banking that they do. Now, they do need a second wide receiver. Oh, it's a stacked wide receiver class that you can easily spend a number 15 overall pick on a wide receiver, and it wouldn't be criticized, especially when there's guys that can be like Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, that could still be on the board by then with the other teams in front of them having more important needs. And now you would have a duo of Devontae Smith and a Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. That's a dangerous duo to pair with Jalen Hurts, and that is the guy that a lot of people are telling me that they won't be able to capitalize on. And Jalen Hurts is just a running back. He can't really pass the ball. And I do understand he had an ugly end to the season against a Buccaneers team that was the #1 team against running the ball. Not to mention, they were fantastic in the pass at times. And when Jalen Hurts isn't a guy that you could just drop back and tell him to make 3 reads, and that might hold the Eagles back. And I'm not saying the Eagles are Super Bowl contenders in this video. I want to make that very clear. I don't think that they're Super Bowl contenders. But I do think in this NFC, they could potentially be a team that hosts a playoff game next year. I do think that there's plenty of edge rushers that will be available at the number of picks that they have, such as a George Karlaftis, who is a Greek freak, who is one of my favorite prospects in this entire draft. And he has not been talked about enough. Trayvon Walker is a guy I feel that is a little overrated compared to George. And they could end up getting him at 15, 16, I believe it's 18. I have it pulled up here. I have all the draft picks. Okay, it's 15, 16, and 19. A second round pick, a third round pick, a fourth round pick, and 3 fifth round picks in this draft that all could potentially be guys that are depth. Another rusher in a diamond in the rough situation. And they still have Darius Slay. They still have to really rebuild that pass rush. I do think they need to get edge rusher #1. But, I mean, if you get a good pass blocking guy, like maybe a Treylon Burks, who could end up being a great run blocking wide receiver to add to their dynamic run game that they have in the Eagles organization. And let's talk about Jalen Hurts again real quick. He has not decreased in his play every year since college. He's gotten a little bit better every single year. And I guarantee you right now, he could be at the gym squatting 600 pounds again, because I do believe Jalen Hurts could be a viable quarterback in the NFL. And I think he is the catalyst that could really launch this team into an NFC East title. And he didn't have a great playoff debut this past season. And I think when you have such a bitter taste in your mouth, your belief in him kind of decreases. Now, I will say a hot take. I do think that potentially Lamar Jackson could end up being an Eagle next year if Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts is kind of on the bubble right now. They took a risk with him. They pushed Carson Wentz out of town, and he has had spotlight moments where he has played fantastic as a quarterback, and that's why I still believe he has all the capabilities to run a dynamic offense that I believe Nick Sirianni has been one of the biggest surprises in the NFL that isn't talked about. I think he is a pretty damn good coach. I mean, to get that Eagles team with all the veterans that they have, and also I would not mind them in this draft. I have a lot of thoughts going on right now, but I would say they should probably get a young offensive lineman, and then they do have a lot of older veterans that are slowly kind of falling off a little bit. Fletcher Cox is a guy that I believe they're releasing, but they're going to bring him back on a restructured contract. That's a great thing. I think they're trying to rebuild that cap room with all the guys that they paid after that Super Bowl run. And a guy like Jordan Davis to be right next to Fletcher Cox. Are you kidding me? Like, if Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis are your 2 interior guys, man, I wouldn't know what to do. I would not know what to do as an offensive coordinator. How do you run against those 2 behemoths? I mean, Fletcher Cox can get to the pass rusher, and Jordan Davis can focus on the run game. What else can you ask for, huh? I do believe that the Eagles, if they hit on these draft picks, not only the first 3, but potentially get 1 starter out of those 5th-round picks, they could be dangerous next year. And I think they could honestly be a 3 or 4 seed in the NFC with how little competition there is in the NFC East and how wide open it is. Why not the Eagles to potentially go and host a playoff game and maybe win one? Now, I know this video is a little bit shorter than usual, but I just wanted to pump out some more off-season content for you. We are on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching. Leave a comment down below. Who do you think could be coming out of the NFC and potentially be a surprise team coming out of there? And also, who do you think is going to win the NFC East? Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.